Shalom, Kal Halalim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Wahawar double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of GMS who I learned this truth from, and salutations and blessings to you elect out there, starting with the 144,000. So this lesson is inspired by a question that I asked ChatGPT about pretty much the ancient Roman Empire and their branding system, which they had a branding system. This is something that the apostles and the elders they've been going into for years. And when you get into the history, it's pretty interesting, which we're going to read. So this is from ChatGPT. It says, "I thank you for clarifying. Yes, the Romans did use a form of branding registry for people, but it was not commercial branding. It was primarily a tool of control, punishment, and ownership, especially for slaves and criminals." Right? Branding of slaves. Slaves were often branded with marks or letters, especially those who tried to escape or were considered dangerous. Common brands included fugitive or FUG, fuge, owner's initials or symbols. The forehead was a common location for branding to make it publicly visible. And what you're going to find out is this is going to tie in with the MOTB. That which has been is that which shall be. We're living in the last leg of the Roman Empire, the revised Roman Empire, okay, the modern Roman Empire, however you want to coin it. We are living in the Roman Empire. Okay, there was an ancient Roman Empire, now there's a modern Roman Empire, which is America, also known as Rome, also known as Babylon the Great. Okay, in the scriptures, it's also known as other things, okay, other names like Assyria. Okay, Christians are lost on that, on those points. It says this was a form of human registry, marking individuals permanently for identification and status. Branding of criminals. Some criminals were branded as part of their punishment, especially runaway slaves, gladiators, convicts, sentenced to labor in the mines, damnati and matala. Branding served to identify their legal status and prevent them from escaping punishment or reintegrating into society. Right, so it says down here, military tattoos, which was a voluntary registry. We won't read that, but when you watch Gladiator, Russell Crowe's character, which was fictional, he had a tattoo, which when he became a slave, he was chiseling off with a knife, right? And people could identify you as a soldier pretty much, or in the military. So now what I went to is I asked ChatGPT, would this translate today with Neuralink or microchip? And they said yes. And it's very important and controversial parallel. What the Romans did through branding and tattoos, permanent bodily markers to record identity, status, or loyalty, could in principle be parallel today with Neuralink, microchips, or biometric implants, though with far more advanced technology and far-reaching implications. Neuralink and brain interfaces. Neuralink, developed by Elon Musk's company, aims to create a direct link between the human brain and computers. Primary goals include medical use, right, which is the miracles, part of the miracles of the beast, which the world wondered at, right, treating paralysis, blindness, neurological disorders, potential long-term use, memory enhancements, which this is known as what? Biohacking, right, or transhumanism, which is a doctrine of the elites. This is what they want. They want to be, they want to live forever, pretty much. Okay, in super extra natural bodies, if you will, right? And mixing them with AI, cyborgs, and things like that. Biohacking, though. Memory enhancement, cognitive augmentation, and even identity interfacing with systems. Example, unlocking devices with thought, which is left-hand spiritual power. Right? Concerns, data ownership, who owns your brain data, surveillance, could governments or corporations monitor your thoughts, intentions, or behavior, which we're going to get into. Control, could this be used to manipulate thoughts or inhibit dissent? So this is the mark of the beast, number 2, already used in pets, some employees, and security systems. Can store ID info, health records, payment systems. Voluntary now, but could it become mandatory in the future? It says, For example, digital ID tied to your status, bank access, or social credit, right? Which China is a forerunner of that. China is the prime example of what's coming to the West, pretty much. You know, convenience now, control system later. Modern branding is control, while no physical scars like Roman branding today's tech could achieve the same outcome: permanent identification, status enforcement, tracking movement, behavior, even thoughts. The branding is invisible, but it's in your body or brain and connected to centralized systems. Okay, so yes, summary. It says yes, modern technology like Neuralink or microchip implants could replicate and surpass what Roman branding did, recording identity, enforcing roles, and enabling control. But the danger today is invisibility. The mark is not seen on the skin. That's interesting. I didn't even read that part actually. That's interesting that GPT said that it's coded, networked, and potentially mandatory. Now, the next thing I asked was, would this link with 5G and realistically 6G? Yes, technologies like Neuralink, RFID, microchips, and modern biometric surveillance absolutely could link with 5G and even more so with 6G in the future because they've been working on 6G. All right, when they roll something out to you peons, you know, they've already been working on it for years and they've had a lot of this technology in the 80s and 90s. It says how they connect. So, real time data transmission, 5G and 6G networks offer ultra fast, low latency communication. This is critical for brain computer interfaces, needing millisecond speed feedback loops, implants, and wearables that transmit biometric data in real time. Massive IoT integration, RFID implants or RFID chips, implants, and biometric devices would become part of the Internet of Bodies, a subset of the Internet of Things. Now, this is something that I specifically remember Apostle Tahar going into years ago, like over 10 years ago, right? He made a lesson on the Internet of Things, and that was a mind blowing uh, subject, because everything is pulled together just like AI, just like I'm asking AI right now. AI is a part of the Internet of Things, but it's going to be integrated with you people now, the people that accept the mark of the beast, and you're going to literally become integrated with everything, the 6G, the AI, everything, all the whole network, you know? So this is here. This is not coming. This is really here already. And it's scary, you people, especially Jake, brothers in the truth. We have to understand what time is coming. You got to make your mind ready to perish for this truth, to be translated. So this is 5G, 6G allows billions of connected devices, including human linked ones, to communicate and be tracked or analyzed. Ubiquitous surveillance potential. With high bandwidth 6G, governments or corporations could theoretically monitor biometric or neural signals, location, behavior, or even mental states in real time at massive scale. How? Because these systems, the AI systems, they're able to, because the mark is inside of you, so it's taking your heart rate, your blood pressure, your brain waves. So what the AI does, it can interpret those brain waves, right? You got alpha waves, beta waves, theta waves. It depends what state you're in, and it can really go deep, man. That's why the scripture says the heart of this man is deep. You know, they're trying to be like the Most High. They search out iniquities. They make a diligent search, right? So it says cloud and AI integration. These implants and BCI systems will often interface with cloud-based AI systems needing 5G, 6G speeds for smooth function. Think personalized feedback, behavioral tracking, or predictive policing models. That sounds like that movie Minority Report. It says mandatory use in this is realistic concerns. Mandatory use in a future smart society, which SMART is an acronym. Let me think. Self-monitoring. I forget the acronym. Self-monitoring something. But yeah, I forget it. But it hold on one second. Right. So the acronym SMART, self-monitoring analysis and reporting technology. Right. So this is what's already here. So then the last thing I asked, is this part, no, is this parallel, sorry, is this parallel with the mark of the beast, not allowing people to buy and sell without having a, I'm not going to say that word too many times. Yes, this does parallel the mark of the beast described in the book of Revelation, and many people see technologies like chips, biometric ID, or Neuralink style implants as potentially fulfilling that prophecy if they become required for commerce, which is business, identity, or survival. Okay? So, biblical mark of the beast placed on hand or forehead, modern equivalent, Neuralink, which is a brain chip. They already showed you, there's a video on it. Okay? Or the chip in the hand required to buy or sell. It's lucky this is cut off, but it's a digital ID for bank, health, commerce, linked to worship of the beast, potential force allegiance to a system or ideology, universal enforcement, global mandatory, tied to social access, right? Realistic modern scenario, a mandatory chip for ID, health records, digital payments, no chip, no access to food, work, travel, or healthcare, connected via 5G, 6G to central databases, possibly integrated with AI, which AI is a demon, okay? AI, artificial intelligence. The word artificial goes back to artificer, okay? And pretty much Esau's Chaldeans on the left hand side. These are the technocrats, you know, and they opened the portal. That's what Elon Musk said back in what 2011, 12, 13, somewhere there. He said with AI we're opening a portal to demons or something like that, right? It says this would create a system. Slack it says possibly integrated with AI, facial recognition, or CBDCs, which is already here, central bank digital currencies, right? This would create, they just passed the Genius Act, the bill, right, in America. This would create a system of control where refusal means exclusion, precisely what Revelation warns about, right? So, conclusion, yes, if technology like chips or neural implants becomes mandatory to participate in the economy and is tied to allegiance or control, it would very closely fulfill the prophecy of the mark of the beast, right? So this is very interesting. I just wanted to bring information out a bit. The Roman Empire did the same thing, but on a lower level, of course. This man is at the height of his excellency, the prince of the power of the air. This is the pinnacle of his kingdom. You have all his kingdoms. This is Babylon the Great. This is a mixture, an amalgamation of all kingdoms. So the witchcraft is heavy and high, man. It's high level witchcraft. You're seeing the AI, what it can do now. Make these videos that are damn near. Before you could tell this AI. Now it's harder. It's gonna get harder and harder to tell that this is AI, and that's part of the illusion. Just like in Egypt, you had the Magi's who were illusionists. They could make illusions appear, right? Just like in the desert, when they show that scene when the person's um, dehydrated and he's wandering through, and then he sees a mirage or some or I, forget, I believe the word is mirage, but maybe I'm forgetting the word. But it's an illusion. Same thing. This whole kingdom is an illusion, right? That's why women who are really whores, they're at the pinnacle. People pay for them, and there's this OF shit, and just everything is upside down. It's an illusion. All right. I hope you're edified with that. Shalom.